All right. I hope I'm not muted and everything's all good. Welcome everyone to a bit of a nice live stream, a bit of a chill live stream. It's Friday night for me. It's 3 p.m. in the UK. But yeah, welcome to a bit of Newcastle United transfer news. Yes, as I said in my video back on Wednesday, I believe, whereby I said I'm going to be doing this sort of thing on Friday every time at this time, just talking about wrapping up any Newcastle United transfer news, kind of like aggregating it, but also giving my opinion on different transfer news that we're linked with. Obviously, there's been a lot of Newcastle United transfer news, so it's very, very exciting, and I do hope you guys enjoy the content. Please do subscribe, by the way, bottom right hand corner. Give the stream a like. I'll make this one for about 30 minutes, maybe 45 minutes. But I don't want to make it like super long because there's a lot of links and I just want to, get through and, not have everyone, just wait for a long time. So big up M Morto in the chat as well. He does appear on the channel. Obviously, you did appear in the UCL, the Champions League final watch long. So obviously, if you haven't checked out either that live watch long or the YouTube short, I think I'm recommending everyone to just watch the YouTube short because that's where all the the excitement happens. But speaking about the Champions League final, we are actually linked with a Champions League, well, not winner, but he still played a part, and that is the first person I want to talk about, the one that just spread like wildfire in the past couple of days ago, I think. Nicolò Barella from Internazionale Milano or Inter Milan. So where does this source kind of come from? I'm not sure how am I going to share this news. Probably have to find a Fabrizio Romano tweet because that's probably the best reliable source. Obviously. I usually use Fabrizio as my main source. I think a lot of people do, regardless. Have to find the Barella news. Maybe I'll share it with you guys. All right. What's a good way to share? Present. Share screen. All right. Let me just zoom in so that everyone can see. All right, so the news on Nicolò Barella. According to Fabrizio Romano, this was about 36 hours ago, so I don't know if there's anything that's been changed, but he says that Inter have not received any formal approach or bid from Newcastle United regarding Nicolò Barella. Newcastle have genuine interest, as the Telegraph called, but nothing is advanced at this stage. Inter sources feel 50 million is nowhere near the valuation. Also, nothing is agreed with Barella on personal terms. So that is the sort of the talk right now about Nicolò Barella. And actually since Fabrizio Romano tweeted it, nothing has really happened since then. So I have a feeling that this was more about generating interest. I'm not really sure if we're actually going in for Barella. I do think 50 million is probably not even his price point. I think he is a 60, 70 million pound player. I know Inter are in a way, I wouldn't say desperate, but they do want to sell players to make sure that they are keeping afloat in terms of their financial stability at the moment, Inter. And for me, I just feel that Inter Milan at this moment in time, would they sell Barella? I think they can at the right price, but it depends if Barella actually wants to leave, because he is a fan of Inter, Barella. So I think that would be a little bit tough for us to really tempt Barella to come to Newcastle United, because I just feel like Barella will probably stay at Inter. That's my current feeling at the moment regarding Barella. And to be honest, of course, I would love him to be in our sort of team, because he definitely improves our midfield. I could even say certain parts of his game is actually better than Bruno Guimaraes. That's what I personally think that Barella can offer. He has better technical ability than Bruno Guimaraes in certain parts of his game. And I think that really complements each other. And that's why, for me, I think maybe that's why Eddie Howe also likes Barella, or at least there's talk that we are interested in Barella. As I said, I don't think we'll probably get him because there's also other links about other players. I'll probably mostly talk about midfielders because that's been more of the talk of the town at the moment. Because for me personally, in terms of midfielders, I think we need at least 2 midfielders this summer, and two of them being a creative midfielder and one being a defensive midfielder. If you get 3 midfielders of top quality, that's a good start, but it's not the 10 out of 10 window I want. I want, as I said, we need a CDM and we need a creative midfielder, because I feel like if we have Bruno Guimaraes as our defensive midfielder, what happens if he gets an ankle injury or whatever, and then there's not really a good replacement for him. So I just think that we need to make sure that we get a CDM, and there's not been much talk about CDM, so that kind of worries me a little bit. But in terms of a little bit more advanced positions, in terms of creating and attacking play, there is a good current link at the moment, and I feel like we might actually get him. And I think I think we're odds favorite at the moment. So Barella to Newcastle, is there a yes or no for me? In terms of joining us, I am mostly leaning towards a no. But of course, I would say absolutely yes for having him in our team. Obviously, who wouldn't? Who wouldn't? So, but at the moment, just how things are at the moment, I think it's not going to happen. That's what I think. Let's read through any of your comments. Sketchy Card says "Talk of the Tune," like a pretty good cheesy slogan for a Newcastle news show. Yeah, but I think there's a lot of Newcastle YouTube channels that talk about transfer news and all that. So maybe I'm probably like copywriting them or something. It's probably already a thing though. Yeah, as I said. The next sort of midfielder I want us to talk about, and this one I actually think we will get him at some point in the window. I prefer it to be before the preseason starts, or basically before preseason starts, and that is James Maddison from Leicester City. Obviously, in terms of where I think Leicester City's valuations are with James Maddison, I think James Maddison is a £60 million player according to Leicester City. That's where they're pricing him. But as we know, at Newcastle, I wouldn't say we budge any valuation that's off of our market value. I don't think we really budge. But of course, if we think that James Maddison is the player that we want, I think we will get him. And I do think, of course, someone will get James Maddison, because Leicester are in the Championship. There's no way they are going to keep Maddison or even Harvey Barnes at Leicester. So I personally don't think that that Leicester City will keep Maddison, obviously, but it just depends on which club gets him. And let me just show you guys the source that I'm getting this. This one I wouldn't say is much of a worry. This is coming from Mail Sport via Toon Army, a Newcastle United aggregator. Basically, Newcastle United look unlikely to pay the full asking price for James Maddison. As I said, that asking price from Leicester is £60 million. Are demanding at the start of the window. Instead, they'll be hoping his valuation falls as the summer progresses. And I think that's probably where we're at the moment with James Maddison. And Mortal says, Maddison, the only one carrying Leicester. Yeah, even though because we were in for Leicester, we were in for James Maddison from Leicester last summer, and maybe not so much in January, but last summer we had 2 bids rejected of a region of around 45 million. And I think the club actually is going to stick with that. I think we will stick with 45. I think at most is 50 million. And when I think yesterday's reports talking about Tottenham Hotspur offering 50 million pounds for not only James Maddison but for Harvey Barnes, I just think that that is not where James Maddison will be at. Obviously, I do think that, as I said, that James Maddison will leave Leicester City this summer, but it's right now it's just either Newcastle United or Tottenham Hotspur, one of the two. And I think in terms of personal terms, what the player wants, I personally think that James Maddison prefers a team that is competing at the top level at the moment, which is us, Newcastle United, because we offer the Champions League football. We've obviously have held talks with Leicester over the past year or so in terms of us wanting James Maddison, but obviously Leicester City have been, I would say, stubborn in terms of not letting Maddison go. And who knows? I think that had they let James Maddison leave for Newcastle or whoever, would Leicester had reinvested that James Maddison money to actually not get them relegated, which happened this season. Leicester went down. And I think a lot of people are thinking like, oh, James Maddison, when it's not going well for him, he downs tools. I don't think that's the case. I just think that the Leicester project, Leicester City as a football club project over the past 5, 6, 7 years since they won the Premier League title has kind of been deteriorating. At least it's been accelerated in the past 2 years, and that's probably due to FFP and all those sort of things regarding Leicester City. So for me, I just think that Leicester City at the moment will obviously need to sell Maddison, and will we? Because as that report said from Mail Sport, talking about we will be probably being a bit more patient and hope that over the course of the summer his valuation drops, because I don't think he's a 60 million pound player because Leicester are in the Championship. If Leicester were in the Premier League, I think that would have been 55, 60 million. I think that would have been at least justifiable. But the fact that Leicester are in the Championship, it's too much money. So that's what the club stance is, and I think we will stick with that stance. But I think if there's no movement of that valuation, and we're not sure what Spurs will be like in a month or two from now, do I think we will probably trigger maybe a 50 million pound bid, and that might be accepted? Possibly. I think we could budge in for James Maddison, but I'm just not sure if it will be, in the next month. I think it will be in the last month. If James Maddison's valuation or the negotiations in terms of a fee is not, down from 60, because as I said, 60 million is not the price for James Maddison at this moment in time. The next midfielder, and actually the final one from the thumbnail, there's 2 more midfielders I want to talk about after this person, which is Dominik Szoboszlai from RB Leipzig. Obviously, he just won the DFB Pokal with RB Leipzig, and he's more of a winger but / attacking midfield. So he's probably like a James Maddison. So this is where people are like, I want Szoboszlai over Maddison. Or maybe people are, I want Maddison, but I don't want Szoboszlai. For me, if he can get both, that would be perfect. Or a combination of 2 of the 3 that, we're discussing right now. Barella, Maddison, Szoboszlai. That is a big, big summer if we are actually going in for him. And I'm not sure what source I want to be putting out there, because I think that there's a lot more talking about that hasn't really been much talk about Szoboszlai links. I can't really find the article, but it was from Sky Germany probably a couple weeks ago, and this one I kind of want to be discussing. Let me find that article from Sky Germany. Reported it. I forgot who. Philip Heinz, I think it was, but it's been a month ago almost. Is there any other good one? Because for now, it just seems like there hasn't been any change in terms of Szoboszlai to Newcastle. For me, do I think Szoboszlai is a player that will come to Newcastle? I think it depends. Because there's a release clause of around 70 million euros, so that's around 60 million pounds. So that's where the Leicester City, who knows, maybe that could be Leicester City's valuation, that Maddison, Szoboszlai are kind of similar players. I wouldn't say similar, but they do have sort of similar attributes in terms of what they can offer for us. Do I think we'll get one of them? Yes. Which one? I don't know. The most likely one is Maddison. But in terms of Szoboszlai, for me, I would love him, obviously, as a player to come to Newcastle. But is he the right one at this moment in time? Obviously, he has Champions League experience, but what are we going to pull? What is our pull? Oh, Premier League, but he can go to any other Premier League club because RB Leipzig are offering Champions League football, but they've also won a trophy. Had we won a trophy, maybe we, a good pull. Not only Premier League, but we've won a trophy. There's progress. We have Champions League and all that sort of stuff. So I'm not really sure if Szoboszlai is much of an attainable asset. Just like as Nicolò Barella just got to Champions League final. Are players like Szoboszlai and Barella willing to leave Champions League or at least leave clubs that have won a trophy this season? Inter Milan won the Coppa Italia. RB Leipzig won the DFB Pokal. So both clubs of Barella and Szoboszlai has won the major cup competitions in their respective country. So I just don't know what the incentive would be from a player like Szoboszlai or Barella would be like. But if we can somehow manage to get both players, Barella and Szoboszlai, or chuck in a Maddison, that would be absolutely perfect. Absolutely perfect. Because I just think that two of those players offer so much for us. They offer so much for our team in terms of the progress that can be made. The next one, let me just put his name down. I hope I spelled it right. Is Felix Nmecha? I hope I didn't butcher his name, but he is a quoted 15, not 50, 15 million pound player from Wolfsburg in the Bundesliga. So let me find that source. That source came out around earlier this week, talking about our interest in Nmecha, and this was actually also according to the Telegraph. Luke Edwards, who I don't really rate as a journalist, but the fact that he, if we manage to sign us, Barella, maybe I'll be a little bit more, open to read more about his sources, because I think it was last summer he said our transfer budget was really low. Yeah, and obviously this summer our summer transfer budget is 75 million euros for Champions League club. Yeah, come on. Let me just zoom in. This was about a few days ago, 2 or 3 something days ago, talking about Felix Nmecha. This, as I said, comes from the Telegraph, Luke Edwards, and he was written by, once again, Toon Army, a aggregator for Newcastle United transfer news at the moment. Newcastle United are preparing to make a bid of in the region of 15 million for the Wolfsburg midfielder and German international Felix Nmecha. The Magpies, or Newcastle, have been scouting the 22-year-old for months with a focus on value for money signings this summer. So that is the sort of current news on Nmecha. And in that part of the article where it said value for money signings. I know there was a a YouTube video. I forgot what was it called, but it had Jamie Rubin, and he was talking about the sort of constraints that Newcastle United have at the moment, which is not at the same level of a Chelsea or a Man City at the moment. But that's why we are signing players of good value for money in order to compete. But at some point, I do think we will at least have at least one big signing, whether that be Maddison, Barella, or Szoboszlai, or whoever comes up. Who knows? Maybe we'll be linked with like Pedri or whatever. I would love to have Pedri at Newcastle, but just throwing out the name. But do I think that that 75 million pound budget is really the budget? No, I don't think so. Let's read through some comments here. Sketchy Cod says, an interesting thing about Nmecha is he used to be considered a striker like Joe Ellington. He also has the same fair amount of pace, which is something we lack in midfield at the moment. Yeah, I do think that when I say pace, I do think that we do need players that are able to make our team better. And for me, right, I know a lot of people say, oh, Newcastle United needs squad depth. Let's get McTominay. Let's get Harvey Barnes. I'm like, no, I don't want those sort of players. And when I say squad depth, I mean I want players that are even better than our current squad. If we can find a player that's better than Bruno Guimaraes in his position, perfect. That being, not really CDM position, but Barella, perfect. Maddison, perfect. Szoboszlai, perfect. Nmecha, I don't really know too much about him. I don't really go through all the transfer rumors and like all those sort of stuff in terms of like, oh, let's get this player because we're linked to him or whatever. I just don't really think that I'm just not really that sort of person that just goes through all the research once there's one rumor or whatever. I'm like, if there's more pace about the transfer rumor, then maybe I'll do that. And Sketchy Cardigan says squad depth that actually impacts the team instead of McTominay, who is just a worse long staff. Yeah, I wouldn't say he's a worse long staff, but just what is he going to offer? And maybe Man United should have cashed in when we were interested in McTominay in at around 50 something million, which is crazy money back in January. Now that we're linked with Barella, because now we offer Champions League football, do our owners still think that McTominay is a player that improves the squad? Because that's what I want. I want players that improve the current 11. That's what you call squad depth. I don't, someone like, let's say, Harvey Barnes, who isn't a bad player. I will say that he is not a bad player, Harvey Barnes. But let's say if we sign him, what improvement does he bring to the team? He plays left wing, right? What sort of improvement will he give to the team? I wouldn't say that much. Do I think we need a left winger? No. I do think, let's just say we don't sell anyone. Let's just say that we have Saint-Maximin, who said he wants to stay. Do I think that there's a possibility he could leave? Yes. But at the moment, he said that he wants to stay at Newcastle United. So we'll keep that for now. We also have Anthony Gordon, Joe Ellington, who I prefer to be at left wing. So as Sketchy Cod earlier said, that maybe Felix Nmecha can be the Joe Ellington role in midfield, and Joe Ellington can be the left winger, because that's what I prefer him at now. Before it was probably, I prefer Joe Ellington in midfield. Now I actually prefer him in left wing because of the pace that not that comment, it was this one. Being strong in the tackle and breaking up play in that sort of left wing position, and that's why I think Eddie Howe probably prefers Joelinton with a Dan Burn. Obviously, we are linked with a left back. At the moment, it is Chiantini, but there's not been any sort of updates on it. It's just, oh, we're interested, but I'm not sure if we need to make a bid, I think. Do I think Arsenal will let Chiantini go? Yes. In terms of Nmecha, I think this one can have a bit of something about it in terms of, I think there is the possibility that we can sign him, Nmecha. And I think, will that add better quality in our team? I'm 50-50 at the moment. That's probably because of the price tag. But obviously, if you're able to buy the right players and better players, because obviously now we have Champions League football, more revenue, and obviously season ticket prices have just been released, and there's a lot of money. Was it 55 quid for a Champions League group stage game? You know, what's the tickets when we make the final? You know, so from now I'm 50-50 on Felix Nmecha. I wouldn't be opposed, but do I think he massively improves us? I'm not sure, but I think it's an interesting signing. I will say that. And there's one more player that I think there has been links with. I wouldn't say massive links, but this is the final player I want to talk about before wrapping up this Friday afternoon in the UK show, which is Gabri Veiga from Celta Vigo. Obviously, about a couple weeks ago, there was a Spanish journalist from Marca, which is would I say a reliable source? Yes and no. I think Marca was the one that first reported the Alexander Isak Real Sociedad to Newcastle United transfer back in August of last year. I think, I'm not sure, but I remember seeing that source in the first time. Gabri Veiga was reportedly close to signing for us at Newcastle United. Do I think that is the case? No. Is he an improvement in our team? Same as Felix Nmecha, I'm kind of 50-50 on it. Obviously, I do I think he will leave? Gabri Veiga, yes. To which club? I don't know. There were links with him with Liverpool. Obviously, I think maybe Real Madrid, but I'm not really. Now I'm kind of unsure about the Real Madrid talk, was because I'm not sure about the the recent reports about Kylian Mbappe, whether maybe Real Madrid could do a Bellingham and Mbappe summer and maybe leave out Gabri Veiga. Maybe Gabri Veiga stays at Celta Vigo, but I think Veiga will leave Celta Vigo this summer. That's just my opinion. Again, I'm not in the know, ITK journalist or whatever. I'm just not that person. I don't really want to do all those sort of things. Like, I'm just a football fan with an opinion. And my opinion on Veiga, I think he leaves Celta Vigo. To which club? I don't know. Obviously, I hope it's us. But do I know too much about him? Not really. But I think it would be an interesting signing if we do get him. So in terms of yes, no, or maybe, I'm right now inclined to say no, that he will come to us. So from the 5 midfielders, Barella, I said no. When I say no, I mean will they come to Newcastle? Do I want the player? Yes, I want Barella, but I don't think he'll come. The next one, James Maddison, I think he will come to Newcastle. That's what I feel. That's what I think at the moment in terms of what we've seen from the reports, especially, as I said, Tottenham making a £50 billion joint sort of bid for Maddison and Barnes. That's really, really low in terms of the valuation. What's the other one? Szoboszlai, at the moment, I'm in the no. Of course, I would love to get Szoboszlai, but I just don't think he'll come to Newcastle at the moment. Felix Nmecha, I'm right now 50-50. But it's more likely to rise to a yes that he will come, but I'm still 50-50 about it. And the one reported here, Gabri Veiga. Currently, I'm at a no. Obviously, I would love to have him. Well, just like any signing that has quality, yes. But I don't know too much about Gabri Veiga. In terms of just quickly rounding up any other transfer news, as I said, left back Chiantini from Arsenal, do I think he'll come to us? Yes, but I haven't seen any new reports about him coming to Newcastle United. But I do think he will leave. I don't think it'll be in the next week or two, but I think he will leave Arsenal when the preseason and all kind of starts. I do think he will leave Arsenal. Kieran Tierney. In terms of centre backs, there hasn't been much links. That's been like, let's say, reliable, or people haven't really talked too much about it. Sketchy Card says, for a bit of context on Veiga and why we have shown interest, his key abilities are progressive carries and passing. He has similar or even better stats than Willock in a team that was battling relegation. Yeah, so yeah, I do agree, because I actually do think that Joe Willock is our only ball carrier in our team. Like Joe Willock's game is more like have the ball and run. He's not like a Bruno Guimaraes, whereby he somewhat dictates play and all that. Or that's the sort of player I think Joe Willock is. He's a runner with the ball. He carries the ball forward, and as you said, Sketchy Card, the reason why we are interested in a Gabri Veiga or a midfielder that has the sort of similar or even better qualities is because of the progressive carries, the passing, and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, as I said, in terms of center backs, I haven't seen any links. Obviously, there was one with like Kim Min-jae, but there's more likely reports he's going to Bayern Munich. Kim Min-jae, basically snubbing Man United. Right back, we don't really need a right back. Goalkeeper, not really anything. Midfielders, obviously, I talked about it. Right wingers, I've just seen a report about Moussa Diaby, I think from a French source. I'm not sure why. Maybe I'll show that and just quickly talk about it. Moussa Diaby. I forgot what was the name of the or the link of the source. Okay. Fabrice Hawkins. Let me just zoom in and I'll. Well, it literally just says Newcastle United are keen on signing Bayer Leverkusen winger Moussa Diaby this summer. Yeah, just like we were last summer. So, do I think we'll get him? I don't know. But we haven't really had any other links with white wingers. Center forwards, as I said, I do think we need a backup center forward along with Isak and Callum Wilson. So when I say squad depth, this one is more like we need at least a backup, because if one of them gets injured, fingers crossed they don't, either of them, then we're only left with one center forward, unless you want to play Joe Ellington as center forward, or who knows. But yeah, it's been rounding up for about 35 minutes, so maybe I'll just wrap it up here. Thank you guys so much for watching this sort of live stream, just letting me give my thoughts and my opinions on the Newcastle United transfer news. Obviously, mostly talked about the midfielders. Just rounding that up, who do I think will come? I think Maddison. And at the moment, I'm 50 more slightly yes on Nmecha. I think those will be two midfielders I think we'll get. But the other three, as I kind of extensively mentioned, Gabri Veiga, Dominik Szoboszlai, and Nicolò Barella, very good players that I would love to get. If you can get all three, perfect. But I don't think that'll happen. But that's my opinion. Maddison and probably Nmecha at the moment. But yeah, thank you guys so much for joining my live stream. Sketchy Card and Immortal both were in the chat, obviously. Please do subscribe to the channel if you're new. And as I said, I will be doing these sort of shows every Friday, 3 p.m. UK time or 10 p.m. my time. It is just 10:30 at night where I am. But yeah, I'll subscribe to the channel. If you're new, give this stream a like, or if you're watching this on a replay, give it a like and ring the notification bell so that you don't miss any Newcastle United transfer updates and other news in general. In terms of, as I said, what's there to come for the channel in the next week, let's just say, before, let's say, what are the plans before this next sort of stream? That being Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I'll hopefully have at least one YouTube short talking about any of the latest Newcastle United transfer news. And then that's when on Friday, like this one, I kind of, let's say, aggregate, let's just say that, or give any updated news from a Friday news. I think that would be a good way, because I don't really see other like Newcastle United fan channels or whatever doing YouTube shorts, because I think that's probably a good way to make fast content, and I don't want to be doing live streams and all that. I'm probably not the channel for that. Of course, I'll be doing live streams for watch alongs, and I think maybe on Tuesday, this coming Tuesday, I'll probably talk things about maybe different from Newcastle. Maybe I'll probably talk about international football, just rounding it up. Obviously, there's Spain versus Croatia. I think that's on a Sunday for the Nations League, of course, because I support Spain. I'll be supporting Spain just because it is the trophy part. It is the final. Maybe I'll watch that. And maybe I'll give a roundup of other international football stuff on Tuesday. But yeah. And before that, obviously next Friday, talking about whatever is the latest hotting up. This past week was Barella. Who knows? Next week could be Pedri. Who knows? But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. As I said, subscribe to the channel. Give this stream, or if you're watching back, a like. And ring the notification bell. And I'll see you guys in the next one.